Welcome to Boulder Ridge, a quiet, gated community where safety was guaranteed until power was abused from within. Caleb Rivas, a former military intelligence officer and the man who built this neighborhood's security, faced an unexpected enemy, the HOA president herself. What started as petty fines and harassment soon revealed a dark web of corruption and betrayal. This is a story of resilience, justice, and how one man fought back to protect his home and community. Stay tuned. Caleb Rivas returned home on a cool autumn evening to the quiet, gated streets of Boulder Ridge, northern Arizona. The neighborhood was as pristine as ever, manicured lawns, ornate stone pillars, and silent security cameras watching every corner. This was supposed to be a refuge, a sanctuary for Caleb after years of military service and the heartbreak of losing his wife Nina. 3 years ago, he had been hired to build the community's entire security infrastructure, installing the latest technology to ensure safety and peace. Now, ironically, that very peace was about to shatter. His front door key, once a symbol of belonging, now refused to turn. A crisp notice taped to the door from the HOA president. Janine Calloway informed him the locks had been changed. The reason, an emergency gas inspection. But Caleb's instincts screamed something else. This wasn't routine. The locks, the notices, even the timing, it was a silent eviction. Janine, with her polished smile and icy demeanor, had recently taken over as HOA president. Her charm barely masked the iron fist beneath. From the start, she had targeted Caleb. His late-night work from home was light pollution, a violation of her arbitrary new rule. Then came the fines, first for his curtain color, then his mailbox height, then the way he stored his trash bins. Each complaint was more petty than the last, but the message was clear: conform or leave. Caleb had always been calm and measured, but this relentless harassment pierced deeper than the fines. The real pain came when he found a surveillance camera aimed directly at his bedroom window, an invasion not just of property, but of his grief. His late wife's photo sat on the dresser, and in that moment, Caleb realized Janine wasn't just bullying him, she wanted to erase him. Yet Janine underestimated the man who had built Boulder Ridge's security from the ground up. Caleb had embedded a secret backdoor in the system, allowing him limited, remote access and an independent monitoring layer no one else could see. That night, while Janine and her deputy, Steve Garland, rifled through his belongings, Caleb watched unseen. Worse still, he heard Janine's cruel words mocking his late wife. The rage simmered quietly within him, but it was focused. He was preparing for something far bigger. His chance came when Samantha Grant, a quiet HOA accountant who had grown wary of Janine's unchecked power, reached out. Samantha was a widow, once a respected member of the HOA board, and her conscience could no longer tolerate the deceit. Through whispered meetings and encrypted emails, she passed Caleb documents, fake maintenance invoices, suspicious fund transfers, and most damning of all, a secret $60,000 bonus earmarked for Janine upon eviction of specific homeowners. Caleb's world shifted. This was no petty HOA tyranny. It was a calculated scheme to force residents out, allowing Janine's husband's development company, Westline Acquisitions, to buy properties at fire sale prices. The betrayal stung. This community, his neighbors, even the friends he had quietly made, all being exploited by one woman's greed. Days turned into weeks as Caleb meticulously gathered evidence. His military background in intelligence and cybersecurity became his weapon. He combed through digital footprints, traced suspicious communications, and archived hours of video footage showing HOA officials planting false violations and tampering with residents' property. Meanwhile, Janine's harassment escalated. Tires slashed, anonymous complaints filed to zoning boards and even his employer, Caleb's life was being torn apart, but he held his ground. The turning point came at a hastily called emergency community meeting. The room was tense, filled with fearful neighbors and wary board members. Janine arrived, full of false confidence, ready to accuse Caleb of illegal surveillance, but Caleb had prepared. Connecting his laptop to the projector, he played a series of recordings and videos that left the room breathless. Janine ordering her team to make Caleb miserable, forging violations, and secretly coordinating with Westline to drain HOA funds. The crowd gasped as Samantha stood, voice steady, revealing her proof of forged fines and the fraudulent bonus payments. Even Steve Garland cracked, caught on tape admitting to planting surveillance cameras and accepting bribes. The room erupted in shock and anger. For years, residents had suffered in silence, trapped by fear and deception. Police officers entered to escort Janine out amid cries of relief and applause. Caleb's neighbors looked at him with newfound respect. "You were right all along," an elderly woman whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. But the story was not yet over. A week later, just after midnight, Caleb's backup camera detected movement at the mudroom entrance. He watched in real time as Janine, disguised and desperate, tried to cut through the security locks with bolt cutters and carried a can of gasoline. His silent lockdown protocols triggered immediately, sealing the doors and alerting local police. Janine was caught red-handed. Investigators found blueprints and burner phones linking her to Westline acquisitions, confirming the widespread fraud across multiple states. The scandal grew beyond Boulder Ridge. In the fallout, Samantha became interim HOA president, annulling all false fines and issuing refunds to the community. The HOA bylaws were rewritten with strict transparency measures, and Caleb, though offered a leadership role, declined. Instead, he founded a nonprofit dedicated to helping communities detect HOA corruption, safeguard homeowner rights, and implement open digital oversight. On a quiet evening months later, Caleb walked hand in hand with Samantha outside his restored home, now fortified not just by locks and cameras, but by a renewed sense of justice and community. "I built this system to keep us safe from outside threats," he said softly. But the real fight was learning how to protect ourselves from those inside. Caleb's journey was one of grief, resilience, and reclaiming dignity, not through violence or bitterness, but through intelligence, truth, and community strength. In a world where power can corrupt quietly behind closed doors, his story reminds us all that vigilance and courage can restore light to the darkest places. This was not just a battle over property. It was a fight for the soul of Boulder Ridge and for anyone who has ever felt powerless in the face of abuse.